My colleague told me at a luncheon that he had a car standing on his property that had been there for a few years and that his son's girlfriend had inherited it, and the idea was that she would practice driving before getting her driver's license. This Saab had been standing on his property for at least 2.5 years, he told me. Now Kjell wanted the car gone, he was tired of it standing there taking up space. I have offered him to tow the car away free of charge if I have to hire a tow truck to do it. The reason I took on the project was that there was a B204E engine in the car. An engine that is known to withstand a lot of power. There is a Garrett T25 turbo mounted originally, a small, lightweight turbo that gives the power 154 horsepower. This was a chance to learn more about Saab turbo. Me and 2 other guys have already tried to move the car by hand by pushing it. It didn't work, the brakes are completely stuck.
Kind of mold here.
The interior smelled of mold and stale smoke. This is the first time I've turned the ignition on the car. It was dead, not so unexpected perhaps. Luckily, there was engine oil in the car. I tried to get into the tailgate by pressing this button first, nothing happened, maybe it was because the battery was dead. Then I tried to open it with the key, but couldn't figure it out then either, but I would turn out to get the tailgate open a little later. All the door locks seemed to be stuck. The key couldn't be turned at all. The locks had probably jammed when it was parked. There is no central locking remote control, so you had to leave the car unlocked to get in.
Wet here, this mat is wet, so it's leaking in water, and you can see it's been rusting. Hallelujah here. The brakes are totally locked.
Both the front and rear brakes looked miserable. The rust had really taken hold of the brake discs and brake pads.
Yeah, it was really stuck. I've been working on this for long, but finally it's loose.
Since the car battery only gave 0.7 volts, I decided to try to take the battery home and revive it. I have a few methods for that I think might solve or help to get the voltage up in the battery.
Yeah, we got full charge.
A very nice feature that I miss on my other car is this cruise control. I was really happy when I saw that there was a cruise control on this Saab. There was mold here and there in the car, probably rainwater had leaked in because the floor mats were wet in places. All of this created a humid environment where mold thrived. The car was really disgusting. I have reinstalled the charged battery, which now seems to provide enough power to start the car.
Okay. Yeah, it started. Now it's ticking quite bad. Yeah, it's ticking quite bad.
Now it was time to try to get the front brakes loose, which were stuck, but thanks to the engine I had to help, it should be possible.
So it did stall. Yeah, it's moving, but the brakes are on.
The bottom edge of the rear doors looked pretty okay. If you look at the mountings on the front doors, they also looked good, no major rust there, that's positive. However, the left driver's door looks to be dented or damaged, it's like a big crack at the top between the door and the body. Water probably leaks in there when it rains, because the floor mat was wet. That could mean there's rust under the mat. This rust hole by the driver's floor may not look serious, but it's usually much worse than it looks. It almost looks like it's coming from the inside, why else would it start to rust so much? Rusting like this is not good. This is probably the remark it received at the inspection a few years ago, that is in the papers.
Better turn this off. This still sounds, even though it's off. What's up with that?
There is something electrically wrong, something with the fan doesn't seem to turn off.
It's this one.
Maybe there are a few other things that don't turn off when you turn the key off.
What's that? What is this? I've turned off the ignition. It's still pulling high. Not good, not good. Why?
The latest generation Saab 900 and the Saab 9-3 tend to rust at the rear wheel arches. That's why I check the status of how bad the rust is at the rear. I look under the car and find rust, especially where there are plastic plugs. Probably moisture has gotten stuck between the plastic plugs and the body. Alternatively, moisture has come from inside the floor and the damp insulation that has been lying around has created rust from the inside. This is also a known problem on the first generations of Saab 9-3. You have to lift the insulation mat, that is, pull out the entire floor mat and insulation to see what it looks like from the inside. The seats probably need to be taken out of the car as well. After some troubleshooting, I get tired of looking for electrical problems, so I remove the grille and take a look behind it. Cobwebs and some other debris, but it doesn't look too bad. It seems that once I turn on the ignition, something is left drawing power and it's different from time to time. I'm just trying to find what's giving power to this fan or coffee maker as I call it, and I'm pulling fuse after fuse.
Still sounding. So when I pulled this one, it died. Let's see what that is.
Here I have filled up with Shell's V-Power, which is like 98 octane or E05 I think it is called, which has about 5% ethanol in it. So it is a slightly better quality of petrol. I have a hope that the engine might run a bit better now that it gets new petrol. Otherwise, I try to back the car up and it seems to be moving the car, so we are definitely making progress.
Now it's less ticking.
Here I have tried putting on the handbrake and releasing it again, and now the Saab seems to be going sluggishly again, especially when I steer in either direction. The brakes are definitely not good.
The lock is stuck.
Neither the driver's nor the passenger's side lock could be moved. They are completely stuck. I tried to lubricate them with a little oil. The next problem was the antenna mount. Unfortunately, someone has broken the antenna, and it seems that rainwater is leaking in there. This causes rust and wet trunk mats. I decide to remove the antenna and put tape there instead. Then came the day when I finally became the owner of this Saab. All the papers were now signed, and all that was left was to put the letter or the change of ownership in the mailbox. I can now finally try to take it from the place. Stay tuned to the next episode and see if I eventually manage to fix the rust and inspect this Saab. It is with this scooter that I go to the Saab to tinker with it. It is a good way to transport a fair amount of stuff. This time I bring the bike rack with me to prepare to be able to cycle to the car and eventually pick up the Saab and take the bike with me in the back of the car. When I start it, it smokes blue right at the start. There are also some strange noises. There is a bang in the exhaust pipe and some other noise makes itself felt. Listen again at a slow pace. The strange sounds are scaring me a little. Where are they coming from? I get out of the car to try to see if I can see anything strange, but I don't see anything obvious. So I decide to continue and try to drive out of the place in the car and hope for the best. Checking status of PCV system, positive crankcase ventilation. I have done some research on common problems on the Saab 9-3. Among other things, there can be problems with the PCV valve, which can cause overpressure and, among other things, oil leaks and other problems. Someone warns that it is very important to check this, so that is why I do this test. It gives a positive result. It sucks as it should.
Sucked down if I had. The rear wiper seems to be totally...
The rear windshield wiper is also broken, unfortunately. The splines don't seem to engage the windshield wiper at all. I'll have to look at it later. The engine is revving, so I decide to take a slow drive around the block to activate the brakes a bit.
Not too bad now in the brakes. But you can hear it. Yeah, the test drive went well. The brakes are really bad, but they are getting better. They need to be worked a lot.
Well, it seems like the car is drivable anyway, so I'll continue with the next step. Removing the seats and floor mats, to try to see how bad the rust is. Check out episode 3 in this series for more info on how to do this.
A sandbox. So we got a hole through there.
As always, the rust is much more widespread than you might first naively think. Here I start to clean off most of the rust to see what I have to work with. The idea is to spot weld pieces of sheet metal in place. It will be far from pretty, but the hope is that it will last a few years. Maybe it is possible, thanks to rust preventive paint and linseed oil. Using a heat gun to remove the bitumen mat is probably one of the most effective ways to remove the asphalt mat.
Holy macaroni, this is a lot of crap.
The cabin filter and air filter were overhauled. This fully synthetic gearbox oil from Biltema is not supposed to be aggressive towards so-called yellow metals such as brass. I believe that synchronizers can sometimes be made of brass. I am not sponsored in any way, but I use this oil because it seems affordable. If the gearbox breaks down, I promise to make a video about it. Now I've sprayed rust inhibitor on some exposed areas and also changed the transmission oil, so it's time to roll the car down the ramps. Something is screaming and howling as I drive down the ramp. I don't know what it is. If you remember from previous episodes, there are still power thieves, so I disconnect the battery when the car is going to be parked for a while. I will continue troubleshooting the electrical fault at a later time. When I brought this Saab, I probably didn't really think it would be this much work, but now we're here. Now we just have to keep fighting. The car works reasonably well at least. I've still come quite a long way. Now the next problem is finding a place where I can weld these pieces of sheet metal I made, and I'll probably need to get a welder. I don't have a good place where I can weld, so I'm trying to find someone in my circle of friends who can lend me some power and where I can be outside and weld, and partly learn how to weld too. I've only welded a little bit on a Toyota Previa. There should be a video of it if you search my videos. Now I'm going to weld outside in the wind, which is more difficult. The project continues in the next episode.
Template time. So I made this and sort of I don't have enough. I'm running out of sheet metal, so I need to keep it a bit thin. So thinner here, so it will fit. But something like that, and then you bend. You can bend it up here, and you can also go a bit further there if you need. So yeah, I think that we'll cut that out, and maybe I'll cut it in half or something if it's too hard to bend it like this with the what I have. Yeah, cut this out. I need to bend this up a bit, just so I'm marking here, and I'm just gonna try to bend it like this. So this I cut with a jigsaw. This is some kind of foam, and it's probably soaking water and so on. Yeah, so it's starting there and so on. Yeah, anyway, I've been helped by this tool I bought just to bend the corners here, so now it fits pretty good, and I've also marked out where there's pretty clean metal, so I'm gonna drill this out and use them for spot welds later. Now I've drilled some holes and also sandpaper it with 120. So I'm just drilling with a 6mm drill here, and now I'm gonna clean it off with acetone, of course, on both sides, and then paint it with linseed oil, boiled linseed oil, and that will take a couple of days, maybe 3 days to dry, and then I'll put some rust paint on it. When I'm drilling, I'm using a punch first, bump with a hammer, and then using this underneath when I drill it, and I'm using actually old gear oil from the Saab here as a lubrication for the drilling, so it doesn't weaken the drill bit. Let's dry it. This one should be dry now, but it's like sticky, sort of bit sticky, but it doesn't stick on your hand, so I think I can paint this one. I started painting it with the turtle wax rust stop, this one, and as you can see, it cracks up immediately, so that doesn't work. Rust up on linseed oil doesn't work, but I'll continue anyway. I did this were better. And why is they better? Because I did sand them down before with 120 grit. So when I get a better adhesion, then it works. So I think I'll just redo this. Yeah, sand it down and try again. See if I can get it to stick. Here are some. Here's another one that is sanded down. This isn't sanded down. It's just laid on top of the linseed oil. So it shows how important the sanding is to get grip on the color paint.
In the old inspection papers I found, it was noted that the removable tow bar was stuck. Therefore, I want to check the status of the tow bar and make sure to lubricate it. I'm trying to remove it, but it's stuck.
It looks like this. Gonna grease it up, clean it up. Yeah, got it loose. You can see that is going to keep it on place when you lock it. So I'm gonna grease that up and just put some greaser all around it. Hopefully, I don't think I need a key on this one. This is a keyhole, but I don't have any key. This is what I'm using. Spraying it all around, and it's back in place. You just push it in with quite a force, and then it should click, and the red pin in there, in that yellow thing, should be pop in, and then you can pull this up and lock it. So the brakes are in bad condition, at least the discs. So I'm punching away the worst rust. It was some stuck pieces here, surface rust, and then I start moving, trying to get the piston to work. So I got it working, hopping in and out and pumping and pushing it back, exercising it. And then we'll see if I've ordered a water stone, so I can maybe wear this down, but it's 90 millimeters, so it's actually should replace it. But if I don't have to, this is supposed to be 7 millimeters when you remove the cap. Get one down there too, and then it should be this one, and then maybe we can pull it out. I'll see if I do it. Maybe I don't need to. I don't want to touch this junk. I push back the piston and trying to exercise, I don't know if you can see it moving, but it is. You can see there, pushing. So I'm just trying to get everything moving. There's a lot of rust. Probably need to replace the discs here. Maybe this is looking funny also. I think that this is not attached. You see? So I guess it's come loose from this plate, something. It's a bit odd, I haven't seen that before. But that could explain why it's not going all the way up here. Exciting day. Hopefully we'll make some progress with the welding. Today I'm going to a welding shop in Tidelinde here about 20 kilometers from where I am now, and I packed the bike so I can ride it home. I'm gonna have to leave the car there, and yeah, I got everything. I mounted back the chair, and I got the welding machine and helmet and a lot of other things I might need. It's pretty packed. We got still the holes here, just covering them up, and it's insured and so on, so it's legal to drive to the nearest workshop since it hasn't done the MOT, the inspection. But yeah, that's what we're doing today. Hopefully it will work out. So I've ridden 4.4 kilometers. So far it's working. I'm glad it's not raining, since the car is clean and I just want to weld now. Hopefully I might have to clean anyway a bit. So heading up for Tidelinde. It's this is island, small island. It's not nice countryside. Got Barkarö, the church around here. Fullerö to the left here. Yeah, getting closer. Yeah, always lots of cars wondering what you're doing. They're so curious when they see someone with a camera. Yeah, but we're getting to Tidelinde here. Gonna visit Göran, who lives here, and we're gonna work at his workshop, whatever. I'm getting the closest, nearest road here, so we can weld, repair it, and try to get the brakes working better and better. It looks better and better on this side. The rear looks pretty bad still. Need to pull them harder. What about this side? It's more even at least, so I have to brake something hard. So. This doesn't look too good. Also got the stereo working. I guess I was just low volume. I think this is copyright free music, so it's back. Took it so it would be non-copyright claims. Copyright claims, I mean. So I don't know if the stereo is supposed to be. Can you read it? I'm picking out the key here and I put it in reverse or whatever, so it doesn't turn off the current. No wonder it's pulling current. It's interesting. This is supposed to click out, you know. I've mounted the bike, so I have to ride that home. I'm gonna leave the car. It's about 20 kilometers to go. Yeah, you can see my other videos where I have this engine. Yeah, I'm here at the workshop, Göran's workshop. It's a nice, really nice place. Electric bike. Är det igång?
Ja, jag ska se här. Jo, han är igång.
Han är igång.
Japp.
Now I'm at Goran's workshop. Since I haven't welded in years, I've brought some leftover pieces of sheet metal with me that I'm starting to try welding on. Nothing is going well. How is this going to work, I think? This is flux cord welding, so I don't use any gas. If you want to see when I buy this Biltema welder, there's another video that shows a little more when I buy and weld with this new welder.
Är du med?
Ja.
Då kör jag.
Mm.
ner.
Ja.
Det är ingen vidare ut. Det blev bra. Det blev bra. This one looks pretty good. Otherwise doesn't look good. Det.
Nej, nu.
Kommer in.
Ja, den är igång.
Då ska man ha en 10-15 millimeter ut den där. Ja, är du med?
Ja.
Han hoppar lite. Oj. Vad gör han med för något? Nu går han bara av. Vad gör jag för fel då? Var det bra för dig? Är det jobbigt?
Jag blundar.
Blundar, ja. Ja, det blir en jävla hoppsan. Jag kopplar den rätt eller? Ja, är du med?
Mm.
Den blir hyfsat. Jag kör igen.
Mm.
Det blir inte mycket till. Jag kör en till.
Kör det.
Jag kör en till.
Mm.
Kanske fastnar på den där. Där va? Den blev bättre. Det blev inget bra alls. Det börjar bli varmt här. Det är inne på den sidan eller?
Jag tror det slocknade nu.
Slocknar det?
Ja.
Ja, det does not.
Ja.
Ja, det var klurigt det här du. Ja, det där blir hyfsat tror jag. Yeah, this is first time welding on this car. And it's yeah, it looks like shit, but it's keeping together. It was hard getting that piece. It was too much distance, too bad template, too bad sheet metal. But yeah, and then we have this one is in place. It went pretty well, sort of spot welded it. This one too had a bit more gap, and then we had problem, maybe not so clean, but it's there and it's I think it's holding. We got this also. So yeah, making progress. Really nice of Göran to help me out. Yeah, battery is mounted and it's gonna bike 20 kilometers now. It's a Tongcheng TSD-Z2 engine. So I think this will do. Hopefully it won't rain. You never know.